Welcome back to Reddit Story Time. Today we have 4 incredible stories. Let's dive right in.
Story number 1. Relatives put their OWN headstone on my mother's grave. Some family feuds run so deep they follow people into the ground. Literally. Our storyteller's mother and aunt had been at war for over 30 years. It started when the aunt stole $10,000 from the mother and then ran a smear campaign against her in their small town, poisoning mutual friends and relatives for decades. The mother tried again and again to mend the rift. The aunt's response was to put her sister down every single time. 2 years ago, the mother passed away. And when her widower finally worked through his grief enough to arrange a proper headstone, he went to the cemetery and found something impossible. The aunt had placed her OWN family's gravestone on the mother's plot. Her name, her family's stone, on a grave that wasn't hers, which, by the way, is illegal. Now, our storyteller had held their tongue for 30 years because their mother had asked them to peace above all. But this crossed a line that death itself couldn't soften. They called the mortuary and explained the situation. The mortuary was appalled and gave the aunt 30 days to remove the stone or face legal action. Then our storyteller did something they hadn't done in 30 years. They called the aunt directly. First contact since the 90s. They explained exactly how she had defiled their mother's grave, a headstone their mother would never have wanted, placed by the one person who tormented her most. 30 days. Remove it or it gets removed for you. The aunt's response wasn't remorse. It was retaliation. She turned uncles and cousins against our storyteller, painting them as the troublemaker. So now the family's asking, am I the jerk for not wanting the wrong gravestone on my mother's grave? Reddit's answer was a landslide. When you plant your flag on a dead woman's grave, you forfeit the right to complain about how the family reacts. 30 days, aunt. Clock's ticking.
And the verdict, not the asshole. Story number 2, my dad's nickname for my brother hides something darker. This story is a slow realization that creeps up on you the way it crept up on the person living it. Our storyteller is 20, the oldest of 5 kids in a family she politely calls dysfunctional. 3 of the kids take after their dad, same features, same look, but her brother and second youngest sister, everyone always said they take after mom. Nobody thought much of it. Until you start adding up the signs. Sign 1, dad always treated the brother differently, harsher, colder once he was out of the toddler stage. The family excuse was he's the only boy, but dads aren't cold to their only sons for no reason. Sign 2, months ago that harshness escalated until dad nearly killed the brother and then tried to paint the boy as the problem, even though the whole thing started with dad. Sign 3. And this is the one that haunts. Dad constantly asked whether the brother looks like her. When she mentions herself and 2 of her sisters, he engages. When she asks about the second youngest sister, he shuts down. I don't want to talk about that. Sign 4, he's told her that when the kids grow up, she and her 2 sisters will visit each other and hang out, explicitly excluding the brother and that same sister. Painting a future where they simply don't exist in the family picture. And then there's the nickname. Dad calls her brother Tard Boy. She still doesn't fully understand what it means, but a nickname born from contempt isn't a joke, it's a clue. Here's the context that makes it all click. Her mother cheated on dad years ago. Our storyteller remembers being 5 or 7, being told by mom not to tell dad about a certain man. She'd always assumed the affair was brief, too brief to matter, but affairs, she now realizes, run longer than children's memories preserve them. Maybe the brother really is a different man's son. Maybe the sister too, and maybe dad has known or suspected all along, and his cruelty toward those 2 kids was never discipline, it was accusation. The saddest part, none of this changes her love for her siblings. Half are full, they are her people, and she can't wait for the day she can move out. But it does explain why one house with 5 kids contained 2 different childhoods. And the verdict, the kids are innocent.
Story number 3. He wanted to be called Dad, 18 years too late. This story is 26 years in the making, and its ending takes exactly 1 sentence. Our storyteller was born from an affair, their bio dad cheated on his wife, and the storyteller was, in their own words, the result of that mess. Dad's real family knew the child existed. There was just never any contact. Growing up, they'd see him maybe once or twice a year. And even then, even in those rare visits, there were rules. They were never allowed to call him Dad. When he introduced them to people, it was always the same phrase, "This is a friend's kid." Sit with that for a second. A child, introduced as a friend's kid by their own father. Mom kept in contact with him more than the child did, ironically. She'd pass along bits of their conversations until the storyteller, older now and understanding how families were supposed to work, finally said, "If he doesn't want to see me, tell him to tell me himself. I don't care." Eventually, Mom stopped relaying messages. The silence settled in for years. Then, when the storyteller was 18, a maternal uncle passed away, and the father showed up to the viewing. Funeral wisdom rule number 1, never do deep emotional business at a funeral. Nobody's thinking straight. Dad either didn't know that rule or didn't care. He asked the storyteller to go for a drive. In the car, it all poured out. the choices he regretted, the life he wished he'd lived, an emotional monologue years in the making. And then the ask. He wanted to be called Dad going forward. 18 years of absence, of friend's kid, of birthdays missed, and the request was for a title. Our storyteller sat in silence through all of it, eyes forward. Finally, the father prompted, "So what do you think?" And here it is, the sentence that took 18 years to earn. "You could wait 18 years, and I'll see if I'll allow you to call me daughter." In the corner of their vision, they watched him look straight ahead and say nothing the entire drive back to the viewing. They have never called him Dad since. Once they moved out on their own, zero involvement. He sowed nothing for 18 years. And when harvest time came, the field was empty.
And the verdict, cold-blooded justice.
Story number 4. The baby photos my mom burned, a 37-year secret. Some secrets stay buried until the person keeping them can no longer object. This story begins with a divorce, 1989, a marriage of barely 3 years, and a question that wouldn't be answered for another 37. Our storyteller wasn't even born yet when their mom and her ex-husband split. They only learned the whole story decades later. While sorting out their mother's estate after she passed, enter the ex-mother-in-law, a woman who remarkably had stayed friendly with mom all those years. She came to our storyteller with an unusual request. Had you found a box of baby pictures in the house? Not just any baby pictures. Her sons, the ex-husband's, every single photo of him as a child, from the only woman who would have had them, his own mother. Why would mom have them? The storyteller was confused too. Why would their mother have her ex-husband's baby pictures at all? They searched and told her they'd keep an eye out. And then the ex-mother-in-law said the sentence that unlocks the whole story. Your mom said she burned them after the divorce, but I don't know if that was true. Somewhere in the chaos of that 1989 divorce, mom had ended up with all of her ex's baby pictures. Nobody knows whether she took them deliberately or they simply got swept up in the boxes. What we do know is what happened next. She burned them, all of them. The proof came 37 years later when the storyteller searched the entire house, every closet, every box, every album, preparing it for sale, and found nothing, not one photo. The claim she made in the heat of 1989 was true all along, and only her death revealed it. There's something almost literary about it. A woman keeping a secret perfectly for 4 decades, the evidence literally reduced to ash, the answer surfacing only when she could no longer give it. A man somewhere grew up without his childhood photos because a marriage ended badly in 1989, and a mother went to her grave having never had to explain why.
And the verdict, gone forever.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. See you next time.